welcome to 30, Flirty, and Nerdy. Today I have Tiffany Biscoe here. Tiffany is the owner of Tiabi Coffee and Waffles and The Jolt, which are really awesome coffee shops here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We met through a mutual friend, Jess. Shout out to Jess. Hey, Jess. And yes, we met, about a year or so ago, and we were in a group that she started for businesses and owners, kind of like hang out and get to know each other.
Yeah, we were in that. I think it wasn't like a think tank. It was like an incubator. We were in an incubator together.
Yeah. It was like a hangout incubator type of thing. It didn't last very long. I wish it did, but it was fun. And I got to meet you and I saw you a couple times outside of that as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was awesome. That was so cool.
it was. And I'm really excited that you're on the podcast now because I remember talking to you before and I'm like, I want to know how you got into the coffee field and the shops and how that all started and everything. So I'm really happy that we're doing this and I'm going to learn more about you and your background and how you started these amazing coffee shops that are doing really well in Las Vegas as well, too.
Yes, and thank you for having me. It's fun to see like you grow and do this awesome podcast too. And it's definitely a journey. Being a coffee shop owner is a journey and it's an experience. Every day is different. So it's great.
Yeah. Awesome. And I want to get into that too. So like I want to start from the beginning because you were mentioning it's fun to see like me doing stuff from the beginning, but what about you? What was your idea for these coffee shops? Why did you want to start these coffee shops? Which one came first? And then the vision you had back then and if you feel that vision came to life for you.
Yeah. So my first coffee shop was Tiabi Coffee and Waffle. Very first one was near UNLV, right on Maryland Parkway and Flamingo in Las Vegas. And really, it just came out of a feeling that we are almost 10 years old. We're 9 years old now. So it was a kind of a feeling that me and my friend had that Vegas just didn't really have a coffee culture back then. Or it wasn't strong enough like it is in other cities. So we were like, we just want to create this space that has like coffee and a place for people to gather. We wanted it to be near UNLV because me and her at the time met at UNLV. So we are like, oh, we're going to make it near campus because back then when we went to UNLV, there wasn't anything around. So we found ourselves like having to drive somewhere after school, like far to go and get things. But it's crazy because Vegas itself has grown and now we have so many options all over the place. But back then we didn't. So that's how we started that. And then from Tiabi came the Jolt, which is located in the LGBTQ Center downtown. And we do a lot of really cool things there. A lot of catering, definitely still with the coffee, the pastries, just really being there for that community in that space. And then I would say after that, we also acquired a sister cafe, which is called Viva Cafe, and it's a Latin-based cafe. So we have a total of four cafes now. And yeah, it's just a journey. In all honesty, it wasn't really planned. And that's the thing that's crazy. Normally when you get into business and you get into people who are serious about business, there's a lot of planning involved. There's a lot of preparation involved. This was definitely one of those, we're going to jump off the cliff and figure out how to fly things. And it's funny because now that I'm older, it's just like we were just so fearless back then. We were just like really just fearless because it was at a time where I think Vegas was still coming off the recession, the 2008 recession that lasted so long. So it was very much like it was a risk, but it was just something we wanted to do. And then it just succeeded. And I actually am the only owner now. My friend didn't really like business that I opened with, and she decided to become a nurse. And it's great. And we're still great friends. We still see each other all the time. But yeah, that's the journey. That's how it started. And now we're here. Yeah.
That is so cool. You started with a friend because you're like, you were missing something in your life in college at that point, and you're like, there should be something like this for students at UNLV to go and get coffee. And I just love how just from you having that experience, you started something. And it's
Yeah.
not been 9 years and it's doing just so good. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I can't even believe it. I'm like, wow, 9 years. I've never even done anything else in my life this long.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've had a relationship that long, you know?
Your
So
business is your relationship.
yeah, and my child. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a little bit of both.
Because, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to owning coffee shops. So, did you have
Uh-huh.
to learn how to make coffee yourself, or did you have someone teach you? Like, how did that happen? Like, how did you realize, oh, I have to learn how to make coffee? I have to have like different types of food. What was that process like for you when you were starting this up?
Well, really, I used to be a barista at Starbucks while I was in college. So I did gain some coffee knowledge there, but that's like nothing compared to being like a coffee shop owner. You have to really know a lot of things. So it was interesting. As the business was growing, I was learning everything at the same time. And then we decided we wanted to do waffles because waffles are a very international concept. We always felt like everyone knows what a waffle is. Everyone has an idea of what it is. And it's like, how are we going to do this waffle? What are we going to do? So then the menu evolved. It's so funny because as an owner, I keep everything. And when I look back at all of our menus over the years, it's wow, we just like totally evolved. We have things on the menu that if I told someone we sold this today, they'd be like, what? Why? There's just a lot of those scenarios. And there's just like the growth. It just happened. It just happened. And then it's just very interesting. You adjust to the market, you adjust to the consumer, you adjust to what they want. I always feel like waffles are a classic thing. So I feel like that adds to like our longevity as a business because waffles aren't going to disappear. They're not really a fad. How we consume them maybe may change, but yeah, it's great. And you know what's really great too is seeing now that Las Vegas has so many coffee shops now. So seeing all of those different concepts come out too and hearing different things from different people opening these restaurants over the years. So it's yeah, it's crazy.
Do you feel that the coffee community has grown more so in the last 10 years since you started? And have you found yourself becoming more friends with the other coffee shop owners and getting like talking to them about different things? Have you found that it's definitely helped you in a way? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. When we first opened Tiabi, we actually looked up how many coffee shops, local coffee shops, exist in the valley. And I want to say there was about maybe 12 coffee shops. Now, if you were to look at that list, we're looking at over 50 different like owners, brands, you name it, of coffee shops. So we came in really early, but then I do know a couple of them. I have talked to a couple of them. I wish we could all just be like friends and just vent to each other all the time, but we're also technically competitors. So it's not like a common thing. But when we do see each other out in the field or at events or something like that, I always try and make it a point to talk to them or say hello or acknowledge them. I always make it a point if I know, which sometimes I don't. Then I'm like, oh, you own that place. Okay. But a lot of times I don't really I'll see them and I'll talk to them, but I wish we could all hang out, but we're technically all competitors. So I don't blame anyone for not really wanting to hang out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand how it could be like competition based like mindset, but it's good that you always make that effort to be like, hey, I see you're doing an awesome job. It's good to meet you. I also own a coffee shop. Good
Yeah.
job, type of thing. So I think that's awesome that you are very positive in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In Vegas, we have throwdowns. Like Mothership usually throws down the latte art throwdowns um, downtown. I don't know if
Really?
you've ever been to one. They're a lot of
Yes.
fun. All the baristas are out, but usually I've been to that one a couple of times because my baristas compete and other coffee shop owners actually compete also. I just never have competed, but I have some baristas who have competed and I make it a point to everyone who's there to just say hello. Hello.
Mhm.
And so we've connected in that way, but it's
Those
cool.
sound so cool. I want to go to the next one. I haven't been, but I heard like you would do some things for the community. I think I remember seeing you did something for the fire department with
Oh,
waffles. Was that a thing you ended up doing?
yes. Yeah, we did that
Yeah.
here. Yeah, last year we did the waffle eating competition.
Yeah.
Winner ate something like 8 or 9 waffles. I was like,
Wow.
whoa. Yeah, he's crazy. It was wild. And we're actually doing the same competition again this year, but we are switching it up just a little bit.
Mhm.
It's going to be the firefighters versus the canine unit, the Metro canine unit. So they're going to compete against each other to see who's going to eat the most waffles the fastest. And this idea came up because last year when we were filming the competition live on Instagram, someone from Metro, I think, made a comment and they were like, oh, we can totally beat the firefighters. So we're like, next year, let's just see it happen. So that's how that came about, the idea. So we're actually having that competition again on March 25th for International Waffle Day. So you should definitely come down, check it out. And then we're also having a squat competition.
Oh
Early,
no.
yeah. People are going to be squatting 25-pound bags of sugar, I think, because believe it or not, we have a lot of fitness people that come to Tiabi on their cheat days. And also because our waffles are vegan, like they decided, let's have a squat challenge and they can try to lift 25 pounds of flour. Very excited for that.
Those sound amazing. And I'm so happy that you said that because I could put this episode out early so that people could get that information down and be like, oh my gosh, it's at this day. I want to go see people eat all these waffles and have some waffles themselves. And I think that's really fun that you guys do that. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to put that information in the show notes for them.
Yay, that would be awesome. And that's going to be at our Maryland Parkway location at 8 a.m., which is a Saturday, and it's March 25th. But that March 25th is also International Waffle Day. So that's the easiest way to remember all that. It's International Waffle
Yep.
Day, 8 a.m. at our Maryland location.
And for those that don't know where that is, it's right next to Sakana, the sushi place.
Yes. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, oh, I saw you on the way to Sakana, or I'm going to Sakana. So I always just point out Sakana. It's right there, right next to us. And most people are like, oh, yeah.
Such great foot traffic too, especially with how busy Sakana is. It's kind of people
Yeah.
will see your place. I'm like, oh my God, I have to try that out next time I'm down here.
Oh, absolutely. You know what is funny though, when you talk about making friends with other people like in the field, I'm actually pretty good friends with the owner of Sakana, and they own 9 other restaurants, and then a couple of other restaurant owners who I guess I'm technically not competitors with. But that's still really cool that you get that the restaurant community, you could still make friends like that. So yeah, just wanted to add that to your previous question.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much for adding on to that question. I also wanted to ask you too, like, what do you see your goals for Tiabi and the Jolt in the future? So, say the next 10 years, like, where do you see your coffee shop or next five? We could say five. Where do you see your goals in the coffee industry and your shops looking like?
So that is very funny that you asked that, and I'll answer it very honestly because I'm just hoping that I'll have an answer clearly for that. I'm at this crossroad because I've been doing this almost 10 years now. We have 4 stores. Managing 4 stores is already a handful. And a lot of people have asked me if I wanted to franchise it, especially Tiabi, because it's a very unique concept. But then when I talk to other people who manage franchises, it's still not something that I know if I know I completely want yet. At this point in time, franchising is up in the air while also expanding is also up in the air. So I'm really at a crossroad, and maybe if we do a podcast in 5 years, I'll just let you know how it all turned out because that's where I'm at, because managing 4 stores is already a lot. And as we grow, after you open the second store, it gets a lot easier. It gets a lot easier to open more stores. So I think I'm going to continue to expand because franchising isn't just something I'm entirely interested in when it comes to giving my time. And I just feel like Tiabi has definitely just been like a growth experience. It's like I'm growing as a person as this business is growing. The decisions I make are also affecting the business and I see direct result. It's like a reflection of my own life in a sense. I'm just at the crossroad and maybe who knows? Maybe you'll see 30 Tiabis and then you'll know I franchised it because there's no way I would manage all of that. Or I went down the other road and just took my time and expanded at my own pace. That's also okay. I try not to really give too many limitations to or like what I can do, but it's more of what at the end of the day, what's going to give the most back to me. And me as a business owner, I would say I'm a little different because I like to focus on myself enjoying what I'm doing. And because with business comes a lot of sacrifice. And so a lot of times, if I'm not feeling that certain areas aren't rewarding me emotionally, mentally, physically, then I just won't do them and I'll choose something else. So that's why it's funny you ask because I'm very much at a crossroad and anyone who has asked me this question probably in the past year, I've given this exact answer to and I'm like, I don't know. And I think when I do know, you'll see like a clear path for me and I'll let everyone know what's going on. But we have had many opportunities to expand. I personally would like to expand out of state. I think that would be another adventure. So that's definitely on the table this year and exploring that option is also on the table. Yeah.
So you have two options, expanding or franchising. And when you mean expanding, do you mean like creating a new coffee shop that's like kind of different or like another Tiabi in another location? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So expanding would be either creating a new Tiabi in another location or
Okay.
it would mean or taking the other brands like the Jolts Cafe or Viva Cafe and
Mm.
creating another location for those. Expansion could also be like expanding on products. Something that else that has been put on the table many times was taking the waffle mix because a lot of people love our vegan waffle mix and possibly doing like a box mix for it. So that would be like expansion, except in a different way. It's not necessarily like brick and mortar, but it's a product. So we're expanding with a product. That also very much excites me. So I just pay attention to my energy. And if I feel myself like really excited, I'm probably going to do that. Franchising just doesn't sound very exciting to me. So it's probably going to be, I'm going to stick with the private route and just continue to expand in different ways and just see where it just takes me. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
my own worst critic anyways. Yeah, I just go with where my energy is. Yeah.
And when you're talking about expansion versus franchising, you see your whole energy just like change. You're like smiling and so happy. Like, I have so many ideas I want to do. And I think it would be really cool to see how you expand and what you add on to that and like your menu and the products and everything you were just talking about. You could see
Yeah.
that you're like thinking about it a lot. And it's definitely something I think you might end up doing, which is really cool, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've talked to people who manage franchises, and they've told me that they're like, you shouldn't do this. There's a lot of money and there's a lot of lucrative opportunity when it comes to franchising, and it's great. It's just not my thing kind of thing. If I had a partner, maybe like a business partner who wanted to join on with me and take over the franchising division, then franchising will be on the table. But yeah,
Mm.
you're totally right. I see it in myself now. I literally, yeah, I don't even know why I keep on talking about franchising.
You heard it here first, people.
I'm like, I don't even know. That's why it's great to just connect with people and talk with people about whatever's on your mind because I always get these light bulb moments. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you heard it here first. You're expanding.
Yeah, I haven't said it. Waffle
I
shops
love
are
it.
all,
Putting it out into the universe.
yes, yeah. I think we'll just do that.
So I wanted to ask you, as part of the last question of this podcast episode, because I think it's really important for people that want to start businesses. So, what advice would you have for 30-year-olds who want to start their own business fresh, that have never had a business before, that think that's what they want to do, but they just don't know how to start and don't know if it's worth it? Like, what would your advice be for those fresh entrepreneurs?
My advice would be definitely, my story is we jumped off the cliff and learned how to fly on the way down. That doesn't always work. I was very lucky to for that to happen, but take your time. I know it's like a lot of pressure because you're in your 30s and you feel like, oh, I'm in my 30s. I should know more by now. I should have all of these things checked off. But you just be true to yourself, go at your own pace, give yourself a lot of love because when it comes to business, it's hard. Like you're literally like whatever business you do, you're going to have a competitor, and the consumer will always be comparing you to your competitor. That's also something that you have to accept. Be very wise when it comes to accounting and bookkeeping. I always stress that to anyone who asks me about business. It's vital, it's so important. It literally, a lot of people say, oh, don't worry about the numbers. I'm one of those people who are like, oh, I just govern by the numbers and I enjoy it. I enjoy knowing where we can go with percentages coming in and different things on the table. So I would say just focus on that because that's going to help you navigate. And then also just be very open to listening to everyone. You don't have to follow what everyone says, but I feel like every interaction I have is always knowledge gained. So you have to, even somebody who's not even in your field, you might be able to pick up something that's like a key factor that can help you. And that's what I would say to anyone in their 30s. Give yourself a little more love, a little more patience, a little more time and understanding. Don't always feel so rushed. One of my favorite quotes is from my grandma, and I always tell everyone, she always says, haste makes waste. And it's the truth. Most hasty decisions produce a certain amount of waste. The hastier, the more waste. So I would just say, just remember that. Just remember, like, even though you're in your 30s, success begins at any point in life when you want it to even happen. I love hearing success stories for people who are in like their 60s and their 50s. Imagine, like, I love hearing those stories. And it's not because it's, oh, I have so much time. It's because that's just an example of someone who didn't give up on themselves for that long. So it's just because you're at this point, and I've seen a lot of people in their 30s, there's an extra layer of pressure to produce something, or they feel like they need to produce something in their lives. I always say, go at your own pace, give yourself a lot of love, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the reason why you feel the way you do. And to just go like that and just believe in yourself, have a lot of faith, and creating your group of friends and people that support you is so vital because you can't do everything on your own. You can't. Even I have almost, I think, 30 employees now. And it's funny because I have employees all range from all age ranges, all kinds of different types of people. And it's funny to hear their perceptions on the business. It's funny to hear their perceptions on me. It's funny to hear what's going on with them. And if you are in a business that does have employees, your employees are like your livelihood. So treating them well, treating them with care is they're gonna help you when you feel like you're just falling apart. And yeah, they're also like your tribe. But I do know a lot of people in their 30s who do businesses that don't have employees. And it's funny, it's hearing them. If you don't have a type of business where you have employees like I do, something that I know that really benefits is just like talking to other people in your field, people in business. And my younger brother, who's 5 years younger than me, is in business, and he's purely digital type of business, and he still needs to complain about the same things I need to complain about. So it's very beneficial to have those relationships where that also support you. They don't always have to be like like a reason. It's just you'd be surprised. Small example too is one of my new menus at Viva Cafe is doing incredibly well and insanely well. And it's because one of my employees, they were just like, I feel we need this. And if I didn't take the time to listen, if I didn't take the time to understand or listen to their idea and completion, we wouldn't be where we are. And this whole like streamlined menu idea that they had, it's brought us so many new customers. It's engaged the team. It's amazing. Just keep your eyes and ears open and just love yourself, have faith in yourself, and just know that if there's 20, 30, 40 closed doors, it doesn't mean anything. You just keep on going. You just keep on going. You take your setbacks, you take your no's, you take your rejections, and use it as energy, use it as fuel to create. Because I mean, besides the numbers and the sales goals and the percentages and all that other stuff I mentioned, people engaging in any business are also extremely creative. So don't forget that you are a creator. That's why you're in business, because you have something that nobody else has. You have something that other people want. And just because the other person right next to you is selling the same thing doesn't mean that they are doing what you're doing. And that's the beauty of it, because we're all unique. And we started off in Vegas when there was like 12 coffee shops. Now there's 50 plus coffee shops in Vegas. Why are we still here? It's because we're doing things in a unique and different way. We're focusing on just our core culture of a business and who we want to be in our community. And that's all you really need to do. And just don't forget that. A lot of people, I feel, compare themselves in different things. I'm not the best, or mine is not that great. I didn't get this many views on Instagram. Or, oh my God, this person is doing this. And I'm just like, it's always going to be that way. There's always going to be something. But at the end of the day, you have to just look at everything as a whole. Don't like get blinded by all these other things going around. You have to just look at everything as a whole. Yeah, that's what I would say. I could go on and on. Honestly, I could go on and on because I've been doing this forever. But yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would tell a stranger, and that's what I would tell my best friend. Yeah.
And you hit so many important points there. You hit how, like, mindset, you hit the wants and needs, you hit just everything that I feel the person who wanted to start a business needs to hear. And thank you so much for that, because you just, even me, I was sitting there, yeah, I totally agree with that, thinking I'm going to start a business, and I have one. But it's like what you're saying is making so much more sense, especially the comparison, because there's people that do so many of the same thing, and that could be such a mindset fuck where people are like, oh no, like, I'm not, my idea is not unique, and I'm not special enough to be doing this. This person is doing it better than I am. Why should I start this? Like, you are right in the fact that everyone's different, everyone's unique, you're creative, like, you have the ability to make something perfect, and basically people will go to your business because it's you, not the other person.
Yeah.
And yeah, and what you said just there solidifies all of that, that if you want to start a business, do it for you and because you love it, and give yourself love even when the times are rough. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and
yeah.
we've had some rough times too. We had to go through the pandemic. This whole labor shortage thing in Las Vegas has been a doozy for me, especially because my staff is around 30 people. So it's been definitely a struggle, but sometimes I just sit in the cafe and have a cup of coffee and I just look out and look around. And then I'm just, you know what? We're going to get through this together. Me and all my
Mhm.
staff, everyone who supports us, we're going to get through this. And then I also like to save things that people do say, like when you get customer reviews or the comments, I do read back through those. And our regulars that come into the store, they're like everything. We're just like, they're just incredible. They're amazing. And yeah, shout out to all of them, because we would not be here unless they didn't support us. And we're a cafe. We don't have a drive-through. We're not like we're quick service, but we're not like a drive-through experience. We're like a sit-down cafe. So it's like when people come in, they come in to just sit down and take a moment. And sometimes I need to sit down and take a moment. I'll end up talking to the customers and they just revitalize me. It's like little things like that, engaging with the people that support your business. That's another thing I would always recommend. Just it'll keep you going. It'll just keep
Mhm.
propelling you to do more. And yeah. Yeah. And the only
And
reason why I bring up the whole comparison thing is because I do it all the time. And
yeah.
I see my friends do it too. Like my other restaurant friends, they'll be like, oh, but this person does this or this person does that. Or, oh, my favorite thing is people will just give me the Starbucks report. They'll be like, do you know what Starbucks is doing? Did you know Starbucks has this? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, and I always had a joke that Starbucks was spying on me because I had a pistachio latte. I want to say 7 years ago. We've had this pistachio latte on the menu for 7 years, and this is like Starbucks' thing. But then someone told me someone else is like doing like exact things on our menu. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, that's just a compliment. Like it's that quote where it's they're copying you. It's like a compliment. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Let me go try what they do. And then I actually go to any business that that my employees recommend. And or if they're there, I'll be like, oh, bring back their coffee, bring back their breakfast, something like that. And then we all try it together. And then in embracing the fact that one, we have competition, one, they're stronger than we are, or they're not as strong as us. In doing that, and then we're all talking about it and all eating the stuff or drinking the drinks, we discover something new. So if I just said, oh, it's Starbucks, and I ignored it, then I would just feel like low on myself, being like, oh, I can never be as good at as Starbucks as a local coffee shop. But instead, we just embrace it. When they're just like, oh, did you hear that Dutch Bros has this? I'll just tell them, I'm like, just get four, bring it back to the store. Let's just try it. We'll do whatever. And it's kind of embracing the fear. And yeah, and that fear, that jealousy, I've had that before. So that's why, and especially when you enter your 30s, I feel like you're in a new realm of yourself. So I feel like it's also important to like just love yourself a little bit more, not so much pressure. Cause I don't know about you, but in my 20s, I had so much pressure on myself, so much pressure to succeed, so much pressure to do this, do that, go here, go there. And like, I just love it because now I'm just like, embracing it all. And then I have a lot of employees in their 20s, and then it reminds me of myself and all the crazy things I did. And then when I look back, I'm like, yeah, like I did a lot. I'm super happy with how far we've come, and I'm very thankful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very thankful for having you on this podcast and to talking about your life and how you started and why, and just all the little tidbits and amazing information that you just shared with us just a second ago. Like, I can't wait for people to hear it. I think it's going to resonate a lot with them, especially people who want to start a business fresh. I think it definitely will give them really good mindset help, and just like we were talking about, just get going and give yourself love and grace and everything. So thank you so much for your wisdom and your truth bombs and just everything today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for letting me just unravel.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is for. And especially because
Yeah.
we add in that element of age and that element of being in your 30s, it's relatable. And that's why I'm so excited, because I feel like a lot of people could relate to this as well, especially with a lot that you said about comparing yourself and feeling awkward sometimes and just trying to get your groove back. I definitely feel it could resonate. So, yeah.
Yay. That's awesome. I'm always happy to share. And then if you guys happen to go to Tiabi or the Jolt or Viva Cafe in the Boulevard Mall and you see me, please say hi. Please say hello. I just love engaging with the community. And that's one of the reasons why I love owning a coffee shop as well. Yeah.
Yay. And I'll put everything in the show notes as well for you guys too, so that like where Tiabi is, where the Jolt is, where everything is as well. So thank you. And yeah.
I'll see you around, Juliana. I'm sure I will.
Hey friends, thank you for listening to today's episode. Please take a moment to follow and review this podcast so it could reach others. Also, if you leave a review, I'll be sharing your review in the next episode. Lastly, if you want to be part of this growing podcast to chat about your life, your profession, passions, or if you have advice that you wish you had at 30, please sign up at the link provided in the show notes. I would love to have you as a guest on the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.